Hi everybody, it's Miss Brenner. Today we're going to be working on part 2 of our article. We are currently reading Beyond Brave by Emily Costello. So you're going to need your article again today. Now when we left off in part 1, we were reading about the famous surfer Bethany Hamilton and some different events that occurred in her life that caused a large change in her career. Now, at the intro of the article, we talked about how Bethany Hamilton had an accident occur with a large shark. We heard about that more in the section labeled The Attack, where they talk about the large shark and how it bit off her arm right underneath her shoulder blade. Then we heard about some events that occurred directly after the attack, as far as how her friends and close family were able to get her to shore for the rescue. And that is where we ended last time in part 1. Now, for part 2, I'd like to start off by doing an activity with critical reading and analyzing where we left off. So, with all of the information that we read last time, I'd like you to identify by underlining 4 actions Bethany took that may have helped save her life. I would like you to then write for one of the actions you identified, explain why it helped to save Bethany's life. Remember, you need to restate the question and then explain your answer. So if you look at the bottom of page 13 for your article, there's already a space there for you labeled Critical Reading Analyze. You're going to do the check where you underline the 4 actions, and then you're going to write about one of those actions and explain how it helped to save her life. So pause the video and complete that portion before we proceed with the reading. After you're done with that, we're going to move on to page 14 with Fearless. So at the top of page 14, it reads, "An ambulance rushed Bethany 35 miles to the hospital. By the time she arrived, she'd lost more than half the blood in her body. She was close to death. Doctors took drastic measures to save her life. She had to have 2 surgeries on what was left of her arm. Bethany's doctors were impressed with her attitude. She's fearless, her surgeon said." So, before we continue, I'd like to work on our target word, which is drastic. Just like we were doing before, again, we are going to address what does drastic mean. I'd like you to fill that in the section that says academic vocabulary. It should be the 3rd row down. You're going to fill in what it means and then rate your understanding of the definition. Now, I would like you to think about what it means before looking at your vocabulary chart, but if you cannot remember, we did that vocab chart to help you. Once again, you're going to rate it on a scale from 1 to 4, 4 being I know it and can use it, and 1 being I don't know the word. After you've completed the target word, we're going to continue on with back on the board. So, you can pause the video to complete that portion. At the part that says back on the board, Bethany's attack made national news. She was on the covers of People and Teen Vogue, but fame didn't make her lose perspective. Less than a month after the attack, Bethany was back on her board. Bethany had to make significant changes in her training. She used a personal teeter-totter to work on balancing. She also got a new surfboard. It was 7 inches shorter than her old one. She learned to push herself up on it with one hand, then jump to her feet in one fluid motion. "Once I get up, I'm okay," she says. "Sometimes it's just hard to get there." So once again, I'd like to pause so that way we can complete some target word practice. For the word perspective, if you look at our academic vocabulary, it's not on the chart. So just like we did before, I'd like you to take that free space that's under the paragraph back on the board and write down what does perspective mean, write your understanding of the definition, as far as 1 being that you don't know what it is, and 4 being I know it and can use it, and create an example sentence and write it above the section competing again on page 14. After you've completed the target word for perspective, we're going to work on the target word significant. So that word is in the chart for academic vocabulary. So you will do the exact same thing that we've been doing, where you write down the meaning, you rate your understanding, and you complete the example sentences. So you can go ahead and pause the video to do that. Once you're done with the vocabulary, we're going to pick back up with competing again. In January 2004, Bethany surfed her first meet since the attack. She wobbled a little getting up on the board, but she was intent on doing her best. She took 5th place in the meet. Bethany has become the pro surfer she always aspired to be, but she'll never forget what she lost. I always have 2 arms in my dreams, she says. And then that's the end of our article. Now, for the competing again section, if you look, the word intent is bolded. That is also one of our target words for vocabulary. It is in the left-hand column on page 14, labeled target word. I would like you to do what we've been doing, where you tell me what the meaning of the target word is, intent, you rate your understanding, and you complete the example sentences. Once you're done with the word intent, aspired is also one of our target words. So if you go back to the academic vocabulary chart, it's the very last row. I would like you to complete that target word as well, and you will do the meaning, rate your understanding, and complete the example sentences. So go ahead and pause the video to complete that section. Once you are done with the target words, we're going to start looking at some information as far as active reading. So for the active reading section, draw a star next to the answer for this question. How did Bethany do at her first meet after the attack? Next to the star that you draw to answer that question, I'd like you to write your response of, why is this impressive? Why is it impressive about her meet after the attack? Once you've completed that, pause the video and complete that, but once you've completed it, we're going to work on summarizing. Now, when we summarize, we address who, what, where, when, why, and how. So in 2 sentences, summarize the topic and important details in the section competing again, which is the last section of our article, or the conclusion. So go ahead and pause the video to write your summary under the left-hand column area that says summarize. Once you are done with that, we are going to talk about main ideas and details. So the very last page of your article packet is a writing page that focuses on the main idea and details of the article we just read. So in the middle section of the last page that has a large box, it says main idea. What is the main idea of the article Beyond Brave? Remember, you need to restate prior to answering the question. So you'll need to restate the main idea question. You need to pause the video to do that first. You can go ahead and pause the video and then come back. After you've restated the question for the main idea, you're going to work on the details. You will need 4 details to describe and support your statement about the article's main idea. So if you need to go ahead and pause the video, do your details. If you need to re-listen to the article, that's perfectly fine. If you need to go ahead and page through and put stars or circle, so that way you get your ideas before you write down the details, that's also fine. After you have written down your details and your main idea, as a class, we are going to work on the react and write. So I would like you to go back to page 12 which is the very beginning of our article, the front page, and read over the question that says at the bottom, react and write, are you surprised that Bethany returned to surfing after the attack? Why or why not? So there's some space there. Are you surprised? If you are, you're going to tell me why you're surprised. If you're not, then you're going to tell me why you're not surprised. And remember, you need to use evidence from the article that we read. Please don't tell me that you're not surprised because you don't care. Please use evidence why you're not surprised from the text. Then on page 14, at the very bottom, it says react and write. We're going to discuss this as a class as well. When do you think Bethany was more brave? During the attack or after the attack, when she was rebuilding her life? So you're going to look back, probably during the part that we read during part 2, and think about, when was she more brave? When she was physically in the altercation with the shark, or when she had to work hard afterwards to rebuild her life after the attack? Remember to use evidence from the text and restate the question. All right, thank you guys for listening. Remember, if it helps, you can always mute me reading if it's faster for you to read on your own, and just look at the screen for the directions as far as what you're supposed to do for questions. If you need to re-listen, go ahead and re-listen. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I'll come and help you, okay? Have a great day.